Hello, and today we'll continue with Hello, and today we'll continue with Leigh's route for violent memoir. Waking up at someone else's house is always strange in the first place. Well, strange the first time. I never quite sure how I suppose. Hello, and today we'll continue with Leigh's route. Waking up at someone else's house is always strange the first time. I'm never quite sure how I'm supposed to act, or if there are any unspoken rules I should know about. I woke up to the sound of a sour and oil sizzling in a pan with a wonderful aroma. Over the last week, the only thing that's been around me in the mornings is my alarm. Last night's sleep was so amazing I must have slept through Leigh getting up in the morning. Either that or he's very smooth with escaping. I remember the tingling warmth on my back was still there in the mornings, and it makes me wish I woke up in his arms, but I'll settle for the inviting atmosphere. I'm half expecting Leigh to be the one in the kitchen with the high-pitched feminine humming makes it clear who's actually where. It makes sense too. Charlie took a shower last night. She's wearing a high school uniform with the largest crest I've ever seen. I don't know much about Wintervale, but it seems like their reputation for being arrogant might not be far off the money. I half expected to see her in a dress. I know most of the high schools around here require dresses unless it's summer, but Charlie's wearing another pair of dark green shorts that clash with her yellow shirt. I get the feeling those are supposed to be summer shorts. I bet she gets in trouble at school for how she dresses. She seems like the type to not compromise. The teachers probably caved first. When I first heard her name was Charlie, I was a little taken aback with how masculine it sounded. But now that I've gotten to know her a little bit more, I can firmly say it's a perfect fit. She might be more manly than me. I certainly wouldn't want to take her in a fight, and not just because Leigh would probably beat me, not just because Leigh would probably beat my butt. My thoughts are cut short by the sound of the fur dryer in the bathroom. It must be old with how loud it is blaring. Newer models tend to be quieter so they can be used at night, but that wasn't a concern a decade or two ago. I suppose she would. I suppose we would. I suppose we should be happy that we even have them. My parents would often tell me how they had to hand dry themselves with towels sometimes for an hour. Don't worry, he'll come out in a towel. He likes to feel the cold air against his fur, so you get more. So you get more than an eyeful. Not that you heard it from me. I wasn't planning on staring. I hadn't noticed that Charlie's leaning over the counter with a knowing grin on her face. I knew she liked to push us together, but I didn't think she'd be this overt about it. Don't worry, he's used to the attention. He don't mind. If you look interested enough, he might show off. Just try to do it when I'm not looking, though. I don't want to puke. I'll, keep that in mind. She gives me a knowing wink before turning her attention back to the pan. The sizzling of bacon is making my stomach growl. I didn't realize how hungry I've gotten. What are you making? I will admit, I thought Leigh would be the one who's making breakfast. Oh, he does. He just wanted to take a shower, so he left the bacon up to me. We usually just have toast or cereal, but he wanted to impress you. we reserve the feast for weekends. If it wasn't for the playful candidness in her voice, I would have assumed she was annoyed with me. I'm about to go see if she needs any help with anything when the sound of the fur dryer ceases and there's only a small pause before the door opens, revealing Leigh in just a towel without any sense of shame. Like brother, like sister. Oh, you're right. Did you have a good rest? Yeah, did you too? Looked like you guys were all snuggled up close. I gotta thank you though. Leigh normally tries to get me up early, but he didn't want to disturb you. Charlotte. He sits up, but not before sticking her tongue out at her brother, followed by a mocking laughter that makes Leigh release a huff. It's clear this isn't anything unusual. Anyway, without any interruptions, did you sleep well, Wallace? Yeah, it was a little strange at first, but it was really nice. Charlie gives a snicker, but after a glare from the older possum, she doesn't reply and just sticks her tongue out at him. Leigh just rolls his eyes and strolls over to join her in the kitchen, mostly just to loom over her shoulder and what I can only assume is to make her see doing everything okay. Charlie barks something at him, but it's in such a low whisper that I'm not able to make it out. She sounds annoyed though. If the hand trying to bat him away is any indication, his presence is annoying her. The bacon's all done. I'm going to head back to my room. Stacy should be getting up soon, plus I wouldn't want to distract you from your guests. Breakfast will be ready soon. Don't fall back asleep. Both of them leave the kitchen, the lack of ambient sound from the fur dryer, sour or sizzling bacon leaves an empty void that feels uncomfortable. It's like I totally forgot what silence is. Charlie disappears behind her door while Leigh comes over to lean against the side of the couch, looking over to me with a gentle smile on his face. It's hard to ignore the elephant's naked body in the room. The earlier words from Charlie are still fresh in my mind. She said if I gave him enough attention, he might show off. According to her, he has shown some interest in me, but he always scolds her when she talks about it. Maybe he's just embarrassed. Or maybe it would make things awkward. She's likely doing this for her own amusement too. She does seem to enjoy getting under his skin. I wonder if that's why he disappeared into her room. Charlie's words are like the snake whispers to Eve. It's tempting me to sin. I mean, what's the harm in a little staring? If he's uncomfortable, I can stop. Leads the type to share his mind. Letting my eyes linger on his body, I notice a few things that keep the cogs in my brain spinning. Like the fact that the towel he wears is hanging a little too low for modesty's sake, less than an inch lower, and I'd be getting a peek at something else. Now with all these implications from Charlie in my head, I can't help but wonder if that's intentional on his part. Did she say he's be willing to show off, or maybe he did this to get my attention? There's no way that's actually the case. I know Leigh wouldn't do something like that. That sounds exactly like something Oscar would do. Regardless, my eyes linger over his body, reminding me of the first time I glimpsed it by the soccer field. It's just as breathtaking now. I'm distracted enough that I nearly missed the grunt that Leigh gives to get my attention. At the sight of his raised eyebrow, I can feel my face flush. This was already a bad idea. Getting an eyeful. If I heard those words from Oscar, I would have assumed it was flirting, but from Leigh, it feels like scolding. Except when I look up at his face, he's wearing a smile on his face. Sorry, it's just stuff that Charlie said had me distracted. He lets out a deep sigh and mutters under his breath. He must have a good idea of what I'm referring to, because he looks to the side with a hint of flush in his ears. Damn it, Charlotte, I told you. It's okay. I shouldn't have been looking. I told you before, kid. I don't mind you staring. It's flattering. I'm not ashamed. His words are comforting, but it doesn't help the heat nearly burning the fur off my cheeks. My eyes are devouring every inch of him, despite what the little voice of shame in my head is telling me. It looks like you're enjoying yourself. Oh, out of all the things I expected to see on the parson's face, a smile was not one of them. It's only lightly touching the edges of his mouth, but it's noticeable next to the blush barely peeking through the fur. Then he does something I never expected him to do. He walks a hand down his stomach, bringing attention to how much more his damp fur shows. His fingers run down the light protrusions of his abs all the way down to his navel. He doesn't say anything. His face gives nothing away. It's like he's pretending he isn't even doing anything. The only indication that he's doing anything is the spark in his eyes and the light huff of his breath. Then his fingers toy with the piercing while his thumb presses on the top of the towel. It's not enough to move it, but with how low it already is, the implication of what it could show is like lightning. Despite everything, he keeps his eyes locked with mine. The only time he takes them off is a brief glance at my hands that feels like he's inviting me to touch. My breathing has gotten deeper to match his, and it feels like electricity is going through my veins. I feel like the moment is leading me to reach out my hand to meet his on his stomach. There's a moment when I reach out where his body tenses, and it's enough to cause me to hesitate. This is already crossing so many lines between the two of us, and I wouldn't want to make him uncomfortable. But for the unknown time today, he surprises me by reaching out his hand to bring mine against his stomach. He slides his claws through his fur, and it's enough to cause him to stutter, the sensation running through my fingers to my groin. He takes careful effort to avoid his scar, but it's hard to care as he drags my hand along his body, his muscles tensing under my touch. I never expected to do this with anyone, even someone like Oscar. I never expected this to happen with Leigh, though to call me ecstatic would be an understatement. He closes his eyes and loses himself into sensation, though I can't bring myself to join him. Every slight twitch of him is the hottest thing I've ever seen. But it all changes as our joint exploration causes the palm of my hand to bump against his towel, nearly pushing the whole thing off. That causes his eyes to open up and pulls my hand away, but urgency is enough to bring me out on a moment too, and I'm able to notice a very prominent bulge that wasn't there before. Fuck, what am I doing? Sorry, kid, that was stupid of me. No, it's fine. I enjoyed it. That takes all the momentum and crushes it to pieces, leaving him speechless. It's a stark contrast to his usual silence, especially with how red his features have gotten. Shit. He runs over his face. He runs his hand over his face, and he turns to walk away, very clearly trying to hide the bulge in his towel that's only gotten larger with my comments. Despite the newly developed awkwardness, I can feel that arousal spark tickling through my spine, and from the way his hands twitch and separately grind forward, it's obvious it's still affecting him too. Fuck. Go take a shower, kid. Breakfast will be ready when you're out. Alright, I'm sorry if I made things awkward. Kid, you didn't do anything. I should have kept myself in control. I don't know what came over me. I liked it, really. That makes him tense up again and creates another crack in his composure. He leans forward, and I have the feeling That's because something is draining the blood from his brain. Damn it, yeah, me too, Wallace. Something about him says my name. Saying my name is probably the hardest thing he could have done, and my own straining bulge pulses in my pants. I was so engrossed in Leigh that I didn't even notice it. Man, it's so tight. Get in there. Yeah, I'll go do that. As I stand up, I nearly trip as the straining presence in my pants jets out enough that it makes bumps that there nearly bumps into Leigh's tail that's frantically flicking around. I didn't even notice it in my daze. It's suddenly betraying the calm aloofness that he's trying to portray its screaming excitement. I force myself to run to the bathroom before this keeps going until both of us do something we regret. The last thing I see as I close the door is Leigh taking a seat on the couch, his hands tugging on the top of his towels, leaving a tantalizing implication that follows me into the bathroom. I'll have to deal with this before I hop out. The shower was just as wonderful as I hoped. There was nothing like hot water running through your fur in the morning. I usually prefer showers at night, but this is great every once in a while. I didn't bring any change of clothes, but unlike the rest of the people, I decided to bring the pair I have with me. That way I don't have to leave in just a towel as well. Breakfast was fantastic and all of us were finally dressed again, though Charlie made some snickering remarks about me being the odd one out. She had to leave soon after to go to school, though Leigh had to nearly drag her out of the apartment. The smiles on both of their faces gave me the feeling that this is a common occurrence. Now Leigh's making me sit in front of him while he brushes my fur down. The last time someone did this to me was was my mother during my first year of elementary school. I'm pretty sure it was after I got sent home because kids were bullying me and shoving me in the mud. Marcus nearly got in trouble for trying to find the kids who did it. There's something nostalgic and peaceful about sitting down with Leigh. It should be awkward and demeaning, but it's not like the other times he dotes on me. It's just nice. You're really good at this. I do this for Charlie and myself. My hair fur used to be wild. It's embarrassing to think about. The bear was really cool. He's silent after that, and I'm worried I said something wrong, though his gentle strokes give me hope that he isn't upset. Yeah, it was. Do you want to go back to it? Nah, kid. I like how my hair fur is now. I do wish she'd let me touch her hair these days. She used to love it, and now she just wants to wear a ponytail all the time. You're all done. Oh. He leans over me and places the brush on the table. There's a flash of warmth and texture as his stomach brushes against the top of my head. My mind flashes back to the sensation of my claws exploring his torso and all that brought with it. The heat spreads all over my body to the point where I'm glad he can't see my face or my front. It doesn't last long until he's leaning back and his fingers continue to play with my fur. There's a pleasant humming in his voice that makes me want to sit around and let him do anything he wants. We'll need to braid your hair sometime. We could do that now if you want. That would be great, kid, but we need to get going soon. You got class and I have to get to work. Actually, I have no classes today, but Lily did ask to meet with me. His stroking stops and I turn to look at him to see that he's very suspicious of me. It doesn't last long before he drops it. It gives my head a final pat before standing. Yeah, I know, kid. You're a sweet kid. I'm just used to the menace. Without his legs supporting my back, I lose my balance and nearly fall over. I'm forced to reach out and grab myself on the possum behind me. Sit here, right? He cuts himself off as our eyes meet before they both land on on his stomach. It's a simple accent with no meaning behind it, but it's obvious what we're both thinking about. The remnants of earlier are still affecting him just as much as me. As his face blushes and he breaks eye contact with me, it's clear what's on his mind, and now my eyes are lingering on his body, causing my own blood to return. Fuck, what's wrong with me? The whisper he gives is barely audible, but in the silence of the room, I'm able to hear it loud and clear. Leigh. To his credit, doesn't let it affect him and leans down to offer his help. Sorry, kid. Here, let's get you up. He reaches down and quickly helps me to my feet, though his hands are making sure to only grab my sleeves as if he's scared to touch me. As soon as I'm on my feet, he takes a step away from me and tries to give as casual of a smile as he can. The awkward smile doesn't fit on his usual serious face, but that just makes him more endearing. Come on, kid. I've already wasted enough time. Let's get you home. Are you sure? I can walk home a number way around Everwinter enough to get back. What host would I be if I make you walk all the way home by yourself? The rest of the day was rather boring. I didn't realize having no classes made the time pass so slowly. All I've been doing is watching my favorite music streamers until after midday so I can meet Leigh. She said she wanted to meet at the hospital around 1. It's a little ominous to be going there, and I'm not really sure what to make about it, but it seemed like she just wanted to talk. I hope it's just a talk. I don't want to think about what the other options could be. Everwinter Hospital is a lot farther of a walk than I expected. I wish I had just spent my time around campus instead. It's only a short walk from there. The benefits of having your college at the center of the city, I suppose. Maybe I would have ran into Oscar or Lucas too. There would have been a much better way to burn the time than sitting alone in my room. By the time I get there, it's nearly 2 in the afternoon. I recognize the hospital the moment it comes into view. I don't think it's something you ever forget once you've seen it. It's so haunting. I've heard that Everwinter Hospital is unique for its massive garden near the inpatient rooms. I've never been in it, but everyone has heard stories outside of our college, and beats is one of the big things that Everwinter is known for. I expected it to be a little big, but I wasn't expecting a giant courtyard with benches and a statue in the center. I know it's common for patients to spend time there, but I didn't expect it to be so hospitable, ironically. It looks empty around this time of day. The only visitor is a lone Shiba Inu sitting on one of the benches. He's watching me with a smile on her face, but despite it, she looks somber. Good afternoon, you made it. Of course, I told you I'd be here. It means a lot to me, I mean it. She shuffles over on a bench, making enough room for me to sit next to her. It's not until I planted myself to her that I noticed the bouquet of flowers in her hand. After yesterday, I recognized those flowers anywhere. They're forget-me-nots, the same ones that were on the final hospital door. They completely escaped my mind until now. That brings back all the mysterious questions from last night, especially the diary page. I'd completely forgotten to look into it to check if I could find it. But that's for tomorrow. Well, that's for the later. Right now, my attention is on the canine next to me, who seems a lot more anxious than she's laying on. I've never seen her visit before, but she's stabbing the wrapping around the flowers with her claw, making little tiny holes through it. Is not enough to damage anything other than her facade. Are you doing okay? Huh? Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm just not too fond at being around hospitals. But this place is beautiful. Yeah, it really is. It deserves to be in a better place than this. There's a resounding bitterness in her voice that doesn't fit with the Leigh I've come to know over the past weeks. She's missing the enthusiastic energy she always has. What's with the flowers? They're my mother's favorite. I'm thinking of visiting her grave today. I haven't gone since the funeral. Oh, I'm sorry, was it recent? This year, actually. It was back in March, but still, it's fresh. I expected her to be looking at me but her focus on the garden around her. It's like she's scanning it for something out of place. It's clear her mind is anywhere but here. Do you want to talk about it? No, but that's why I asked you here. I consider you just asking Leigh, and I might have, but watching him dote on you reminded me too much of my dad, and I'd rather talk to him. Well, I'd rather talk to anybody but him. Are you and your dad on bad terms? She squinches her face up at that, and goes to answer up. It goes to answer until a pair of patients walk past us, stopping to give a little wave and greeting. They look to be admiring the flowers, the vast collection of flowers. No, not anymore, at least. We had rough pets after she died. We didn't talk, and when we did, it was just arguing. We were both grieving, still are, I suppose. But we talked it out eventually. He doesn't know I'm going today. He'd want to come along and keep me company, but I think it's something I want to do alone. Really? I wasn't at first. I will admit, I was considering asking you to come along, but sitting here in this garden, I think I owe it to her. I never visit her. It's time to make up for lost time. Despite how morbid and dark the topic we're discussing is, she still takes the time to give a wonderful smile. There should be some strain, some little cracks in the facade, but it looks to be a genuine smile. My mom died in a car crash. It was such a silly thing. I was just going to tennis practice. I didn't want to pay for a bus, so I was going to walk. It was a little cloudy, and no matter what I said, she wasn't going to let me walk in the rain. So she decided to drive me there. Then a truck ran a red light and hit the car on her side. I got out with a couple of scratches. My mom was in critical condition, eventually falling into a coma. The fucking doctors told us there was nothing they could do, which is the stupidest fucking thing I had ever heard, because it's their job to do something. But they didn't. It held out for such a long time, and I said horrible things to my dad, but we eventually pulled the plug. All that because I didn't want to spend some pocket on all that because I didn't want to spend some pocket change on a bus. I'm left speechless, and we're plunged into silence, except for the tweets of birds near the trees. She isn't expecting an answer, though. There's a breath of relief at letting it all out. Sorry I shouldn't have dumped that all on you. It just feels good to talk about you, you know? Yeah. You can always talk to me, though. I don't really mind. I really don't mind. I'm just glad you trust me enough to want to talk. Lily places a hand on my leg and leans into me. From the outside, people might assume there's something more to this, but there's nothing but platonic friendship between the two of us. Of course I trust you. I wouldn't have asked you here otherwise. You're so sweet. That's why Leigh's so protective of you. He's scared that someone like you would be taken advantage of by others. I don't know why he's always trying to treat me like some kid. I'm just as much of an adult as he is. Hell, we're the same age, and he doesn't treat you like this. He just cares a lot. You know that. He'll come around soon enough. You just gotta prove to him that you're not a kid. I bet there's moments where you surprise him, right? My mind flashes back to this morning and what transpired between the two of us. That certainly was a shock to the both of us, especially the way he leaned into it. He even stopped himself from calling me kid. I don't think I'm going to be asserting myself onto him to try and change his mind, but it gives me some assurance that things will be different over time. It's just something he'll have to get over, and I got to prove myself. That's something I can do. With my mind so lost in thought, I never gave an answer, and Lily slipped back into staring into the garden. Her hand is still rubbing my knee, but it's less attentive than before. It's clear that her focus is elsewhere. Considering how close to tragedy she is, it's shocking just how well she's adjusting. When things got back for us, it never really went back to normal. My parents still avoided my parents still avoid talking about it and are rarely home. I've grown to despise that house. It has so many happy memories, but I can't enjoy them over the suffocating atmosphere. Who did you lose? Huh? You have that same distant look my dad gets sometimes. I recognize that anywhere. Don't worry. I won't tell Leigh or the others. It'll be between the two of us. My throat tightened and my eyes scanned around the garden. The only other occupants we saw have already moved on and disappeared from sight. It's just the two of us in here. It isn't super private, though. There's a building directly adjacent, and through the windows we can see patients and staff walking past, and they can see us just as well. No one looks to be paying any mind to the two of us, even if the occasional person peeks over towards us. It's about as solitary as I'm going to get at a public place, I suppose. When I was in middle school, my brother died. He killed himself. My parents were out of town that weekend, and I found him in our attic. Oh, it was. I'm so sorry. It's okay. It was a while ago. But despite my words and how much I was trying, I could feel my hands starting to shake. I never talked to anyone about this. Outside my parents, it just wasn't something I wanted to dwell in. It was part of the reason I was so excited for college. I could finally put it behind me, but it feels like it's always haunting me like a ghost hell-bent on ruining my life. Wallace? Everywhere I go, I see remnants of my time with him. It hurts and I'm not sure what to do about it. You don't have to do anything about it. There's no right way to handle anything like this. If I find it out, I'll let you know. Me and my dad might have come to understanding, but I still miss her every day. I know he does too. Some days are easier than others. Some just feel suffocating. This discussion turned out a lot heavier than I expected when I left Leigh's house today, despite everything it feels. We're leaving to talk about this, as silly as that sounds. But now that brings my mind back to where exactly we are. While we are at the hospital, you made it sound like you despise the place. I expected her to pull her hand away or tense up, but she just takes a deep breath like she's clearing her thoughts. No matter how touchy the subject is, she never gets aggressive. I wish I had her patience. I always hated hospitals. Well, that's not true. When I was a little girl, I used to always look up to doctors. They seemed so cruel. It was their jobs to save people. She's no longer focusing on me at all. Instead, her eyes are following whoever is walking down the Garden View corridor. None of them pay us any mind, but it's hard to not fall into a trance watching them walk by. But when they failed to save my mom, I felt such resentment towards them. I hated them more than anything else. I'm still angry. I had such an issue letting go. But I've been trying to do better, and I think my amends is a good thing. Some of the staff here still recognize me from when I used to visit. It's strange. I used to say such abusive things towards them, but they never deserved it. They were always so nice, and after we pulled the plug, they checked up on me and my dad to see if we were doing good. It was just a call, but it was the wake-up call I needed. I avoided answering them at first, but months later I wanted to tell them to leave us alone. But they just made sure that everything was okay, and even recommended one of their friends if we needed any help. My dad and I still visit her every month. That sounds amazing. She wipes her eyes that have been growing progressively glossier. She's on the brink of tears, but that wonderful smile never leaves her face. They're great. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I came to college and I didn't expect to find out until next year, but I think I want to do something around here. I don't know what yet, but I'll find out. Whoa. Yeah, whoa. There's no conversation after that. Lily cleans herself up, I make sure her, but I make sure she has my support the entire time. She doesn't let me fret over her too much, and I'm relegated to just rubbing her back. There you go again, being the sweetest guy I've ever met. That can't be true. You'd be surprised high school boys aren't going to win any prizes with girls, and the only notable guys I've met here so far is our group, and this is our little secret, but you're my favorite. She whispers that into my ear before wrapping her arms around me in a big hug. There's a lot of laughing, and it's clear that the darker mood has long passed. Even after we pull away, though, one of her arms still hangs around my back. We're both still smiling, and in all my time with Oscar, you think I have gotten used to physical affection, but I never really experienced that outside of my family. And all my time with Oscar. No need to tell me your fave. I know that Lee's got your attention. What? No need to speak. I already know. Me and Oscar were chatting about it all night. It was mostly to distract from last night, but it doesn't mean the gossip wasn't good, so expect to harass you soon. Oh joy, that's definitely going to be a conversation I'm not looking forward to. Well, I'm sure the chat itself will be fun, but I'm not looking forward to the consequences of it. Hey Wallace, I know we just moved past all the heavy stuff, but I wanted to say I have the feeling there's more to the story with your brother than you're telling me. My mouth instantly feels dry and I'm left stunned. I wasn't prepared for this at all. She must have expected this reaction because her eyes have taken a softer, more empathetic tone. I don't want you to tell me, I will admit. I don't think I'm in the best headspace for it, but I want you to talk to someone about it when you feel ready. Can you promise me that? Okay, yeah, I think I can do that. Good. Now, speaking of Leigh, my phone buzzes between the two of us. Leigh to the canine, giving a giggle before finally suffering some distance between us. I completely forgotten just how close we'd been sitting for nearly the entire time. Like she summoned him, the message is from Leigh. I've already been talking to Leigh for nearly an hour. Leigh must be free to go visit that shelter that he found yesterday. He mentioned it during breakfast. It sounded like Charlie wanted to come along too, and I'm quite sure why, but she sounded almost excited to go there. Regardless, the message, like usual, is split across multiple different batches. Hey kid, where are you right now? I'll finish my shift soon. Charlie should be finished by the time we get there. Well now, where are you three going? Lily seamlessly reading my messages, but I don't really mind. We were just talking about him, and I feel comfortable letting her know everything. Lily wanted to meet up at the hospital. I'll let you know whenever you're free. That might not have been the best idea. Huh? As if she just predicted the future, my phone flares up with messages coming in one after another. I'm not even able to read any of them before they're replaced by another. I'm forced to scroll back up to the message I just sent to have somewhere to start. Shit. Is everything okay? Did something happen to her? Did you need me to come? I can let the others know. The messages go on for another 6 more before he finally relents and gives me time to reply. There's a big misunderstanding. We're fine. She just wanted to visit for the garden. We're just talking. We should be finished up soon. Where do you want to meet up? I expect a fast reply like before, but there's a sizable break between this one and the last. He's still busy at work, but I shouldn't be messaging him until he finishes. But before long, he gives a simple reply. Meet me here at Rocco's Garage. That's all. There's no clarification on what exactly Rocco's Garage actually is. I'm about to ask when Lily interrupts me. Oh, I know that place. It's a mechanic shop that my dad goes to. I wonder if I've seen Leigh there before. I never really paid attention to any of the times he brought me. Really? Yeah, it's not too bad. So that's where he works. I'm not surprised. He seems like the hands-on kind of guy. Speaking of, how did last night go? We spent so long talking about me. You were the one who needed company. Are you doing okay? Even though she doesn't have any accusation or hints of shame in her voice, I can't stop the blood from rushing to my face. Even Lily is trying to baby me. I'm doing a lot better. It was relaxing and Charlie was really welcoming though. She does get a little pussy sometimes, but her energy was a nice distraction. Sir heard. Also was messaging about his little voice call with her. Apparently you and Leigh were getting pretty close. No, they were just teasing him and he left to his room. I was just giving him some company and having to walk on him shirtless. Nothing happened. Oh, you walked in on him shirtless? I never heard anything about that. I was just told you were having a good time. She busts out in a series of giggles and guffaws that leave me gaping. Of course, how would they know I walked in on him changing? No one saw that but me. Oh God, please don't tell anyone about that, especially Oscar. There's no way he won't take that the wrong way. I think you don't give him enough credit. He was really worried about you yesterday, even if he doesn't show it. We all are. Like our previous conversation never happened, she's back to her cheerful self as she gently bumps her shoulder into mine in an attempt to get a reaction out of me. She succeeds because I can't stop a smile from intruding onto my lips. Thanks. Yesterday was really scary. It was. Everyone was so dismissive of it, but I'm not so sure. It was. Everyone was so dismissive of it, but I'm not so sure. You're not? No, things were too specific to be a fever dream or a drug trip. They knew things only I would know and try not to think about like these. She holds up the bouquet of beautiful blue forget-me-nots again. The way she's looking at them is different from before. It's not mournful, but serene. But I meant what I said the other day. I don't think we should think too much about it. It's not like we can do anything about it. It's happened and it's over. Should we be worried about it though? Should we really be so chill about it? She just shrugs, but when she notices my confused expression, she turns to her seat, so she's fully facing me with her legs crossed beneath her. She begins her claws up to path down my hair fur that I didn't even realize I had gotten frazzled. Don't stress yourself out. Yes, it could have been bad, but there's a good chance that whatever happened, it won't ever happen again. Well, it won't ever happen again. Don't stress yourself out. Yes, it could have been bad, but there's a good chance that whatever happened won't ever happen again. If it does, we'll worry about it then, okay? I'm only able to give her a nod and let her continue grooming me. It's hard to complain about both what she's doing and what she's saying. It feels great, and as much as I don't want to admit it, she is right. There's no point worrying about it. Realistically, what am I going to do? Look up strange shared dreams that will just bring up equally weird but unhelpful results. But I still can't help but feel like there's something strange going on. Why did I find that page? I really wish I investigated as soon as I got home. But for now, she's right. Until I get the chance to check out that page again, I should stop stressing about it and focus on what's happening right now. So you and Leigh, looks like you're head over heels for him. I can't say I expected it. I mean, also makes sense. He's a stud and Lucas is a cute little angry angel. I mean, I get it. Leigh is one of the most handsome guys I ever met. I just don't think he's many people's first pick. I think he's pretty great. He might come off as pretty scary, but he's one of the most caring people I've ever met. And words fail me as I watch a smirk creep wider across her face and a predatory twinkle glimmers in her eyes. She's clearly got some ideas in her head that are only going to be problematic for me later. Wherever you want my advice, you're going to need to take the initiative with him. He's definitely into you. Trust me, he's just giving himself excuses as to why it isn't appropriate, but you're going to need to convince him. How do I do that? Don't force him. Just be yourself, but when the time is right, don't be afraid to put your foot forward, okay? I'm sure he'll respond well if you do. My mind flashes back to this morning, and I have to make sure there's no one around again before I lean forward to whisper into her large canine ears. She catches on fast and brings her head closer. Well, there was this moment this morning. Charlie told me to give him some attention after his shower, and he'll want to show off. So I did, and I ended up feeling him up, and he helped. Whoa, that doesn't sound like either of you. I didn't know what came over me, and it didn't seem like he did either. He ended up breaking it off, but he looked really into it. Despite being a spicy little story with a lot of details left out, stuff that's only for my eyes and memories, she takes this information with a shocking seriousness. Well, this is news. Regardless, you should get going. You'll need to meet up with him soon, and I got to get going if I want to make it to my class at 3. She picks up her bouquet of flowers and stops in thought before plucking a few of them out. I'm not giving much chance to respond before she's giving it to me. Give these to him as a present. He might not seem like it, but I bet he's the type to like flowers. Really? Are you sure? These are for your mother. I couldn't. Sus. Don't stress about it. I'll tell her all about your little crush on him. She'll totally understand. Dad used to tell me how Mom loved to be a matchmaker when she was younger. She'd be glad that I'd be following in her footsteps. I bet your brother would be proud of you too. You sounded close. He wants you to be happy. My throat constricts, and I can feel a cocktail of emotions forming in my throat, cutting off all hope for a proper sentence. It takes all my focus to get a single word out. Thanks. Anytime. Now go get him. Keep the flirting to a minimum, though. He told me that you were going to a shelter to get information on Helena. That's not exactly the best time for this kind of stuff. I wasn't planning to. She just gives me a giggle as she gets up to stand, grabbing my arm. In the process, to drag me up with her, despite being shorter than me, she hoists me to my feet with ease. Looks like we both got people waiting for us. Yeah, looks like it's going to be a busy day. And Wallace, huh? Thanks for the day. Don't sweat about it. This ended up helping me just as much. It gave me a lot to think about. Well, don't think too much. Keep an ear out for any messages from me. I'll hit you up after my class later. Alright. After what feels like nearly half an hour of walking, I finally arrive at Wacko's garage. I wish Lily had given me a bit more of a warning when I set out that it was going to be on the outskirts of the city center. I mean, I should have guessed that the very middle of town would be too busy and cramped to fit a car workshop, but heads up would have been nice. But I'm lucky it's only the edge of the city center and not the edge of the town. If I had to walk to rural areas, it would have likely taken me hours. Next time, I'm taking a bus. I will say, after lingering around the busier areas of town, I appreciate the quieter parts of town more. I didn't realize how exhausting being constantly surrounded by people can be. Even my apartment is right next to a busy road. That's not to say that this area is completely dead. There's still a decent flow of cars, and I'm far from the only person on the sidewalk, but compared to the center of town, this is much more tolerable. I've never been to this specific area before, and it looks to be just as commercialized as the rest of town. There is a residential building in sight, and there's businesses everywhere. The places that catch my eye the most are an Asian grocery store and what looks to be a vintage camera store. But while they'd be a fun visit in the future, my main focus is a large garage surrounded by empty cars. For a moment, I think they're selling them. They're selling them before I realize there's no prices on them. Either they're our commission or they're for personal use. But even then, there's way too many cars with just a single team to work on. They must be for something else. The open interior of the garage itself looks shockingly barren. Outside of a car with its raised hood obscuring whatever's behind it, another lifted up into the air on a hoist with what looks to be a large polar bear underneath, and two trays of tools in the corner. I expected there to be more around, but maybe there's more than I cannot see. There seems to be a hole inside the building, and I can't see from this angle. There's both a front door to a receptionist desk and another in the garage itself that leads to some back room. I feel extremely out of place. The closer I get, the harder it gets to hear anything other than the mass cacophony of sounds of power tools being used. My ears might not be the most sensitive, but this still leaves them aching. I'm about to walk into the garage itself, but I realize just in time that I'm probably not allowed to go in there. There's a lot of dangerous tools, and if I'm being honest, I'm terrified that car is going to fall and crush me. Opting for the front desk instead, I walk through the sliding door into a cramped waiting area. There's only two chairs on one side and a small table between them, while the rest of the small space is only filled with a rug and a receptionist's desk and a receptionist's deck with a closed door next to it. I expected there to be someone behind it, but it's currently empty with nothing on my side besides a little bell. What catches my attention the most is the bulky computer that looks like it came straight from the 90s, and the off-color yellow base shows just how old it is. Whoever runs this place is either really out of touch or just doesn't care for upgrading their equipment. On the wall sits a collection of photos. Most of them has what looks to be the employees either celebrating a workplace parties or posing in front of a freshly tuned-up car. I'm not able to make out many details. A lot of these photos aren't in very high detail, but I'm able to notice a couple of things. There are a few recurring figures that's in all photos while more people are added on. It confirms the feeling I've had since I've entered the building. This business feels very familial more than anything else. There's a sense of casualness that isn't typical for a work environment. At least I don't think it's typical. I've only got my parents' jobs to go by, and theirs tend to be high stress. Not wanting to dwell on my own family situation, I decided to tap the bell. I should have been better prepared for the high-pitched sound, but it still leaves me wincing. I'm glad someone like Lucas isn't here. His poor huge ears. The response comes through the closed door, muffled but loud enough to be clear. For a second I think it's Leigh due to his deep voice, but there's an accent to it that I can't place. Be there in a second, just hang in there. With just that, I'm left staring at this large collection of photos filled with just as many people staring back while the sounds of tools resound from even in this isolated form. Despite these photos bringing a smile to my face just moments ago, the sudden dip of my mood after recalling my own situation makes keeping eye contact with him hard. It feels like hundreds of eyes are watching me, and this room feels so small. Little details are becoming progressively more noticeable the longer I stay in here. The reception counter is just a little too worn. The paint's peeling, and there's a large exposed patch of wood that's eroding away. My thoughts immediately go back to the awful nightmare yesterday and just how decrepit that whole place was. And that thing, whatever that was, whether it was a monster or just some freakishly large person, the image of it chasing them down the hallway is burned more into my brain than I thought. A breath of warm air brushes the back of my hair. causing all my fur to stand on edge as I whipped my body around, nearly tripping over one of the chairs in the process. My heart pumping as I braced myself for the worst to see that striking image of a demonic entity masquerading as a construction worker. But there's nothing there, nothing but the sliding door that's been left sliding open just enough to allow the warm midday air blow through. Not trusting anything after everything that's happened as of late, I continue to wait and stare out the window for anything to prove me right. The slightest hint that things aren't what they seem. There's nothing there. It's like Lily said, focusing on what happened is just going to be a hindrance to us. But I can't follow my own reassuring thoughts as I slide the door closed before backing away to the other side of the room. Ugh. The sound of the door behind me slamming open has me letting out a sound, and this time I do trip on the leg of the chair, taking a tumble that causes my elbow to thump against the door, sending a surge of discomfort through my body. Despite everything, the main feeling overwhelming, everything else is relief. Followed closely by embarrassment, I really let my own mind psych me out so much that I nearly damaged property and myself. Whoa, sorry about that. I didn't mean to startle you. Just thought I left you waiting for a little too long, so I tried to hurry on up. Here, let me help you up. The rat, whose youthful appearance and slim body doesn't match his deep voice, comes around the desk to offer me a hand. The pollen pads are thick shade of black, likely from all the grease and grime he's working with constantly. But if there's anything I want to do more than anything else, it's just get off the floor and pretend that never happened. That I'm not turning into a paranoid lunatic who jumps at everything due to a few dreams. Taking his hand is barely an effort for him to yank me to my feet despite being even skinnier than Leigh. The first thing I notice is that he's not wearing a jumpsuit like the bear I saw outside. This guy is just wearing a grease-covered white tank top and heavy-duty cargo pants. Now that he's made sure I'm okay, his expression looks more bored than anything else. He doesn't look upset, but like he'd rather be doing anything other than manning the front. I'd say welcome, but you probably waited enough. Yeah, I figured. Well, I haven't seen you around here before. What do you need? He walks back around to sit at the receptionist, taking a moment to wipe his hands on a rag in a futile effort to clean himself up. Once he's satisfied, despite a distinct black stain still remaining, he grabs a hidden pair of glasses from out of sight and clacks the keys to the computer, bringing it to life. Oh, I don't need my car fixed. I'm just here to see Leigh. He told me to meet him here. That catches his attention instantly. His bored expression shifts to one of curiosity. He even takes the time to lean over to make sure the door to the rest of the garage is closed. Don't see many people coming over for him, other than his sister. I didn't think he had any friends. Despite the harsh words, there's a sense of pride in his voice and a hint of a smile on his face. It's surprising since he doesn't look much older than Leigh. If anything, he looks younger. Not by much, though. They look rather similar now that I'm getting a closer look at the rodent. There's a clear species difference. They don't even come from the same family, but if Leigh's fur was darker and he would move all his accessories, I believe they were siblings. Just head out back. He's working on the Chevy. It's a car on the ground. Don't worry about calling. The big guy's got a big mouth, but he's a teddy bear. He won't hurt you. I can just go in. Of course, I trust you to stay away from any tools and don't get too close to cars, obviously. Don't be scared to introduce yourself to guys, too. His sentence is immediately undermined with a loud clanging sound of something hitting the floor, but he shows no sign of concern, just more inquisitive glances at the door. Actually, give it a second. Looks like Colin's lowering his voice. Don't want you getting crushed by that. Leigh will break my jaw again. He broke a jaw? Not literally. Just shocked me when we first met. I wasn't sick, but he wasn't much better. Water under the bridge now. Name's Victor. Call me Vic and never Vicky. Hi, Vicky. Alice just called and Said you forgot to order the fucking clutch kit again. A new voice enters the fray from another door behind the counter that I hadn't even noticed. It was so well edged into the corner that it blended in. Storming through is a raccoon that looks older than Leigh, and I combined gray fur peppering his beard. Unlike Victor, he's wearing a proper clean uniform that's even got the logo embroidered on the shirt. His large gut is completely overshadowed by his large arms and intense expression. His presence is overwhelming, despite barely being a taller than me and likely smaller than everyone else working here. Despite storming in here over something else, his eyes hone in on the rat's clothes, and the flare of his eyes alongside the gulp from the rodent makes it clear something's wrong. What did I tell you about wearing your fucking jumpsuit? It was supposed to be professionals. I expect you to act like one. Hey, Leigh's never wearing his right. You can't even see the logo. Why am I the only one that gets shit for this? At least he fucking wears it. Now get your act together. Poor Alice had to order the clutch kit on the spot because you were too busy pissing around the Savvy. As opposed to man at front desk. At the word poor Alice, the rat's eyes rolled so far into the back of his head that I genuinely worried for him for a moment before they come back down. But I signed up to be a mechanic. I'm here to fix cars, not answer phones and order parts. The raccoon walks up to the rodent and lecture bubbling in his throat when he finally catches sight of me. I guess he didn't realize the two of them weren't alone. I'll stop by that kid. That's mighty unprofessional of me. Name's Graham. Pleasure to meet you. Ignore the dumbass behind me. He's just being a baby. Yeah, whatever. I expected his attention on me to end with his introduction, but he comes around to offer a handshake that I can't refuse after seeing him chew out poor Victor. You're Leigh's friend, right? He let me know he was heading off with one of his friends from the university. Good to see that boy again now again. He's all work and no play, that one. You can say that again. You're not much better, all play and no work with this one. Give me proper work and I will. Despite that fine tone, there doesn't seem to be any genuine hostility between them. It sounds similar to a kid talking to their parent. The raccoon only gives him a stern glare that has the rat grumbling as he messes around with the keyboard in front of him, trying his hardest to avoid eye contact with his boss. I give you a tour, but I got to fix Vicky's mess. Don't worry though, Colin's taking a break at the moment, so it's just Leigh out back. You'll be fine. Thank you very much. No problem. Well, no thank you. Leigh's been a lot more talkative lately. It reminds me of how he was when he was younger. The kid was just a spitfire. I think I've discovered where Leigh's got his fondness with a kid nickname from. Graham has turned to attention back to the rat, trying to scold him about something in a low whisper, an attempt to keep some level of professionalism. Victor rolls his eyes in my direction, but it's only served to cause the older male's tone to get more stern. The two of them are a strange pair. I'm about to walk through the door when I just barely manage to catch their muttering despite their low tones. It doesn't really seem like they care if anyone can hear them. It's more out of professionalism. I'm sorry, man. Tell Alice I fucked up. Tell her yourself. She'll chew your ass when she's getting back. Just try not to make it happen again. You know I put you on here because people love talking to you. Yeah, I know. Thanks. Anytime, Vicky. The rat lets out a whimper, but the raccoon just ruffles the rat's small past ahead for causing Victor to give a satisfied grumble that he's trying his hardest and failing to keep quiet. Graham leaves him alone to walk back to his door, only stopping a moment to look back at me. I expected him to give me a scowl for snooping, but he just gives me a slight nod before heading in. Victor, on the other hand, looks much more embarrassed at their show of affection and chooses to ignore me, but it's clear from the state of his exposed ears and the frantic typing on the keyboard that he's feeling a little flustered. It's best I just go through and leave him alone. They seem like good guys, if a little strange. The garage appears to be completely vacant now. The only indication that there's still anyone inside is occasional tapping coming from the far car, whose hood is still raised, obscuring anything and anyone behind it. Despite each wall having at least one large roller door, there is still a distinct metallic smell that makes me want to cover my nose. It feels like a nauseous concoction of fumes that will knock an elephant out in seconds. That's probably why they need so much airflow. If I had to guess, the polar bear I saw early has completely vanished without a trace, and the car he was working on is now resting on the ground, no longer hoisted up in the air. They must be finished with that one for now. Or taking a break. Despite all the trolleys filled with different tools, they're neatly pushed into the corner to allow easy movement around the garage. Even with permission, it still feels like I'm intruding, so I shuffle over with haste to the car on the far side, hoping to catch a glimpse of Leigh as I get closer. I'm not able to see anything until I round to the front and catch a familiar possum tail sticking out of the hood of the car alongside legs wearing very unfamiliar pants that have flaps folded down. Any potential uncertainty on this is any potential uncertainty on if this was another possum is thrown at the window at the sight of a rose tattoo on his exposed lower back. It doesn't look like Leigh's wearing anything that covers up her body. I reached out to get Leigh's attention before remembering what happened last time I made this mistake. Even if I was 100% certain he wasn't going to last out, I wouldn't want him to smack his head if I startled him. Hey. I intended to carry on, but the moment the word leaves my lips, his tail tenses up and all sounds from inside the car seat. There's a burst of clanking before his body stilts and he pulls himself out of the hood. Despite the immense airflow from through the room, there's a heat coming from the car that I hadn't even noticed was beginning to cause a slight sweat until Leigh fully emerges, looking more drenched than someone at a gym. Hey kid, sorry. I wasn't out there to meet you. The guys just wanted me to check why the hood was overheating and then I can go. It looks like the heat isn't just affecting me at the moment, but as the moment Leigh reveals himself from the hood, I'm able to see he isn't even wearing his jumpsuit properly. The entire upper half of it is unzipped and is tied around his waist, leaving him exposed from the waist up. His fur is even more matted down and drenched than it was after his shower this morning. At least I've seen him enough by this point to not be too affected by seeing him without any shirt on, even if my eyes still gravitate to the many features his stomach holds. Honestly, the thing gravitating my attention the most is just how much grease and grime he's covered in. Not only are his hands completely black, but there's streaks of it across his body, including his stomach. I knew that this would be a hands-on job, but I wasn't expecting it to be this dirty. I'd rather just ignore all the mess entirely. Right now, I'm more focused on just how out of breath he is. While he's doing a good job of hiding it, I'm still able to hear light panting from the possum, and sweat is dripping off his nose. Is it really this hot? Yes, but not this bad. This car's been burning up whenever we turn it on, so I'm trying to figure out the issue. It won't take me long to finish up and we can head off. Did you find the issue? I have a good idea. I'm just going to be checking a couple more things, and I'll let the boss know. You don't have to wait around here. I don't think Vicky will mind if you stay inside. I don't mind. It's just a little hot in here, but it's not too bad. Are you doing okay? You don't look too good. I tried to reach my hand out to comfort him, but he brushed it away, even taking a step back in the process. There's a flash of worry across his face, and for a moment I thought I did something wrong before I realized what was happening. This is about the other day again. I thought we'd gotten over this, but it looks like Leigh still doesn't trust himself around me. It was just a single incident. I don't get why he's so adamant that he might hurt me. He catches himself too and stops me step away, holding his ground to let me touch him, but I've always returned my hand to I always return my hand at this point in awkward atmosphere, swarming in to fill the gaps. But it doesn't last too long before our silence is disturbed by the sound of tools clanking on one of the nearby stands as well as the thumping of footsteps. It's a large polar bear, Sir Leigh, and while his clothes are still on, the front is partially unzipped enough that I can see his chest. His fur is just as damp as leaves. I want to be a sprite for him eventually. I mean, the polar bear. And I feel like Leigh moved out of the way, so maybe they're planning on doing a sprite for him eventually. I don't know. I can feel my own getting there too, even with the steady breeze flowing through the store. It's like sitting on the beach in the middle of the summer. It's painfully hot, but the licks of wind are greatest blessing one can receive. He doesn't look surprised to see me. If anything, his focus is more on a smug grin Leigh's direction. It's nothing like the ones that Oscar gives. This one is more like an older brother who was just proven right. Well. Vicky did say they had a young guy visiting you, and I thought the guy was pulling my leg, but look at here. You really do have friends outside of us. Fuck off, Colin. Hey now, I'm just glad that you had someone outside your sister. Don't tell me else. Don't tell anyone else but this one. But one of the guys was telling Vicky that it was creepy. No one talks to Vicky besides us, Alice, and the boss. Well, I stand by what I said. It was a little creepy. Jackass. Despite their harsh words, there's nothing but smiles between them. It's clear it's just some harmless ribbling from close friends. Whoever this Colin guy is, Leigh must be fond of him. The bear must have noticed how awkward, isolated I'd been from the conversation and shifts his focus from the possum right to me. Where are my manners? The name's Colin. You must have been the legendary Wallace the young man here keeps talking about. Leigh talks about me? Not as much as we want him to. Trying to get anything out of this guy is harder than trying to get laid at 50, and trust me, that ain't easy either. I just told him that a friend had been staying at my place yesterday. They didn't believe me, so I told them about you. I didn't say much. The end of his sentence is punctuated by the sound of the hood slamming into place, putting a literal lid on the conversation as he reaches around to turn the car off. Losing the ambient sound of the motor running makes the silence feel louder than ever, but I'm grateful for the break from the constant sweltering temperature. Without the heat, the breeze feels like it's actually cooling me down, and I can tell the other guys are happy about it too. Leigh's already wiping the excess sweat from his face with a drenched rag. Finish her up? What's the problem? I'll let Vicky know, and maybe Alice can pick up the stuff before coming back. Just a broken cylinder, where there might be a problem with a radiator too. The whole thing looks like shit. The whole motor is fucked. The pistons are bent to shit, and there's oil everywhere, burnt to a crisp too. Fuck, boss isn't going to be happy about that. Client won't be either. Yeah, but I don't have to deal with him. Just tell Vicky he'll sort it out. Obviously. What do you think I am? Suicidal? I ain't going to tell the boss the whole engine's fucked. As soon as it leaves the bear's mouth, I can't stop my tail from bristling and my ears from flicking up. I'm never able to hold it back after what happened with Marcus, no matter how much I try. It's never subtle because Leigh's eyes flick over to mine for a moment. He doesn't make a big deal about it, but it's obvious that he's worried. His focus never leaves the older man. I go in to clean up and head off. You guys good for the rest of the day? Hell yeah. You have. I'll tell the boss now. Thanks for staying a bit late today. You know how fucking useless the other guys can be. Don't be too harsh on them. Liam's kid is old enough to walk. I bet that little guy is getting in all sorts of trouble at home. Yeah, but that doesn't excuse missing out on his shifts. Anyway, you get out of here. Your shift ended an hour ago. Don't forget to say goodbye to Vicky. You know how pissed he gets when you don't. I know. Leigh just gives a huff as a reply, but that looks to be enough to satisfy the polar bear as he turns his attention back to me, extending that friendly demeanor to me as well. Nice to meet you, Wallace. Sorry we weren't able to talk much, but you know how work is. Maybe you can visit during lunch. We can have a proper chat. None of us really know what Leigh does outside of his place. I told you, you just won't believe me. A guy like you living a life as boring as that? I doubt it. With that, the polar bear pushes through the door I came from earlier, with nothing but a final nod in my direction and the middle finger in Leigh's, to which the possum returns without a moment's hesitation. Leigh acts in such a starkly different manner here than he does anywhere else, but I suppose that makes sense. Who knows how long he's been with these guys, but he's comfortable with them. More comfortable than our group that he's known for only a week, that's for sure. I must have been staring because that mixture of worry and suspicion creeps back over his face as he scans his eyes over me, trying to find any hint of something wrong. Eventually he relents, but I can still feel the tension in my tail despite my best efforts to relax it. It'll go down eventually. It always does. At least Colin didn't say anything specific. Don't mind him. He's a good guy. Just a pain in the ass. You two look like you get along well. We've known each other for a long time. How long have you been working here? Since I was 15, maybe even 14, somewhere around there. That surprises me, but Leigh must have been expecting that. He doesn't even give me a chance to question him before he clarifies. I needed to start saving up money. I needed to be able to prove to the courts that I could take care of my sister. So I started working as soon as I could, and Graham offered me a chance. But working here ever since. How long is that? Around 9 years. I'm 23. Well, I haven't even had a job here. Or I had a job before. So let alone worked somewhere for that long already. It's nothing flashy, but it's honest work and pays the bills. Right now, I'm on reduced hours so I can go to college. I tried to convince the boss that I only needed a few less hours, but he wouldn't listen. Now I'm barely doing 20 a week. But it just sounds like he's worried about you. His stoic expression softens at that, and he reaches down to pat my head, not even hesitating this time. Whatever's going on with him and trying to avoid touching me must come in waves if his consistent behavior is anything to go by. I know. Graham's big on the whole work family thing. He's a good guy. Treats his staff good. Goes out his way to make sure we got the shit we need. I owe him everything. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Not working, not at college. Said I probably wouldn't even have Charlie right now. Sounds like he's a really great guy. All of them are. Even Vicky. He's full of himself and an ass, but he means well. He's got my back if I need it. Alice and Colin are always looking out for me too. Alice used to take care of Charlie when I had to work extra shifts. Sounds like you guys really are a family. I suppose we are. Graham's good at what he does, even if most of the time he's just yelling his head off at you. He'll take a bullet for any of us, I'm sure of it. Most of the guys here today anyway. He sometimes hired people short term, but they never last. Leon's the latest one. Some coyote who just needs an in-between job while his wife is pregnant. He's pretty useless, but he listens, and that's better than most of them. He doesn't hear much anyway. He's usually just me. It's usually just me, Alice, and Colin in here. Graham, if we need to spare a pair of hands too. What about Victor? He sounds pretty eager to come help. Vicky, the guy is awful when it comes to cars. He knows his stuff, but the moment he gets his hands on a tool, he turns into a walking disaster. He's banned from the garage after he nearly dropped the hoist on Colin. Oh my God. It was pretty bad. I've never seen Graham so pissed before. I really thought he was going to fire the guy, but Colin convinced him not to. So he's stuck working the front desk. He's good at it too. People love him. There was a charm to him that I wasn't expecting when I first saw him. He's like a kid who's a little too optimistic about wanting to spend time together, like a little brother's brother just got back from college. That's a little too close to home. Why do you call him Vicky? He seems to really dislike it. It's just what we've always called him. He keeps saying it makes him sound childish and that Victor is a man's name, but he's just Vicky to us. Like how you call me kid? He pauses at that like he's seriously considering the question. It was supposed to just be something mentioned in passing, but he really pondered it. It's not the same. I expected him to elaborate, but he doesn't. But maybe it's a good sign that it made him pause. While I don't always dislike the doting, he does have a habit of trying to baby me, which I hope I can get him to stop. I'm not a child. I'm going to go rinse off at a shower out back. Go sit in the office and I'll meet you there. Vicky will throw a fit if I don't see him off. Waiting in the office wasn't too bad. Victor was more than happy to take any distraction from the boredom, though he did often put me on hold to answer a call or handle work on the computer. Despite his juvenile attitude and constant bickering with Graham, who would often come in and out of his office, the rat was a lot more serious about his work than I would have guessed. Colin stopped by once with a coffee. Coming out of another door I hadn't even noticed was right next to Graham's office. That must be the break room. He mostly just checked in with Victor, teasing the guy to near yelling before disappearing back in the garage. It was enough that Graham had to come back in to scold him. Everyone was nice to me, though, even Victor, who was a little too curious about my relationship with Leigh, but was quickly disappointed by the lack of any real substance. I've known him for less than a week, after all. If anything, he should be the one telling me stories. Not that I tell him that, it would be rude, especially after he offered to make me some coffee. Not that I drink coffee, but I appreciate the offer. I do drink coffee. Actually, I drink all the time. It didn't take Leigh long to arrive in the office, jumpsuit replaced by his usual leather jacket and red shirt. He looks freshly clean, to the point where his previous pitch black hands are now back to his usual pink hue. Despite still smelling like every chemical in the workshop, he now has a citrus smell lingering that I've never smelled on him before. It's pretty intense. Victor, on the other hand, looks less than impressed and makes no effort to hide it. He actually puts in the effort to lean on the desk like he's judging Leigh as if he was some high school art project. Back to usual, huh? Why don't you wear anything interesting anymore? Your little friend is here to pick you up. You're just going to go out and that? What's the matter with this? I mean, it's fine if you're being boring. I don't think it's boring. But come on. Remember what you used to wear when you started working here? Damn it, I missed that. When you and Alice used to sneak out to clubs together after work dressed up like, well, you know. That was a long time ago. Graham told me to stop doing that anyway. If any customer saw me dressed up like that, they'd freak. You know how they are.